That's true.
All right, let's get to our next topic, guys. It is brought to us by Prize Picks. We all make decisions every day. I do, you do, we all do. And on Prize Picks, being right in those decisions can get you paid. Don't miss any excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action if you haven't tried it yet. Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. And if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first 5. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We're going to talk a little head coaching vacancies, guys. Kevin Stefanski, as it stands today, is still the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Despite that, we saw a report from Josina Anderson yesterday suggesting that Bill Belichick could have at least one person in the upper management level of the Browns front office who is interested in him. That report, Zach Jackson said he hadn't heard of anything, but Josina put that out there yesterday. Also yesterday, Bill Barnwell from ESPN ranked the 8 potential head coaching vacancies in terms of the most appealing to least appealing, and let's see how those rankings fell out. He had the Bengals as the number 1 most appealing potential open head coaching job.
Sadly, they're not going to fire their coach.
Do you think?
I doubt they'll fire him.
Really?
What's he have left on his contract?
I don't know, but he's got at least a year, and they never fire any, or almost never fire anybody before.
A lot of owners don't want to pay 2 coaches.
Yeah,
regardless of that,
we're okay with
these,
anyway,
are just,
but, all right,
these are potential head
potential
coach openings. The Cardinals still have a head coach. They were listed as number 2. The Browns still have a head coach. They were listed at number 3. The Titans, who already fired their head coach, were at 4. The Giants are 5. They've already fired their head coach. The Falcons, Dolphins, and Raiders all have current head coaches. They're not fired, but that's how he ranked them: 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the 8. And once again, the article is named potential head coach.
I would love to know how he came up with the Browns at 3.
I think he's flipping coins.
I think it's just subjective,
crazy.
right? I think he's looking at the situation. What in the hell does he see that Cleveland is so attractive?
I mean, you start with the quarterback. Any job opening.
Which is why Cincy is number 1.
Start with the yes.
Right.
I agree with that. That's about where
I do too.
That's about as far
After
down
that, the list to me seems completely arbitrary.
It's totally insane. Why? What is it about the Cardinals that's attractive?
That's what I want to know.
Their quarterback position's a mess.
Right, they might have to cut Kyler Murray with the same cap hit as the
exactly.
Yeah,
Cleveland's quarterback position is a mess. The Titans have Cam Ward, who you think is the guy of the future. That should be higher up the list. The Giants, Jackson Dart, I don't know how people feel about him. I think it's probably mixed of this guy's going to get killed before he can establish himself. Others may look at him and say, yeah, it's a franchise quarterback, in which case they'd be up the list.
Yeah.
Falcons with Penix, the Raiders are right where they should be. The Browns should be down there with the Raiders.
And the Dolphins.
Same thing. Yeah.
I mean,
the Raiders could end up with the number 1
Gigi,
pick.
before you go, real quick.
It's different if obviously G has the most faith in Shador Sanders in the group. So
I wasn't even going that route. Go ahead, get to it.
Quick. It's a whole long thing on each team, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. We want to read the little synopsis.
I would guess that Myles Garrett and the
at
young
least the Browns
draft picks.
It is
picks,
once again,
Yeah.
it's like 1,000 words on each team, but this is the best summary of why he had the Browns at number 2. And this is what Bill Barnwell wrote, and I quote, "The good news is that Andrew Berry's 2025 draft was a hit. Graham has flashed on the interior. Judkins might be the best back in the class. Schlesinger is a deserved favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Harold Fenton Jr. has made an immediate impact at tight end. Dylan Sampson has been an explosive player in situational roles. The only players who haven't been quite as impressive are the quarterbacks, but it's a solid class and a much-needed boost. Plus, the Browns have a ton of draft capital coming up and an owner who's willing to spend as much as needed."
He didn't even mention Myles Garrett.
I mean,
oh, he did in other parts. I'm just reading
okay.
the little. It's
Okay.
1,000 words on each team. I'm not going to read you guys 1,000.
he ignored the fact that the owner's a meddler.
when you have a $130 million dead cap hit on a quarterback who can't play,
Yeah.
That's
the elephant in the room.
How can you and ownership that has been this horrendous?
So here's
how can you possibly have that?
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. First of all, we do this all the time. Good job, bad job, not good job. Listen, we got to start taking ourselves out of regular sports talk and talk about real life. These are one of 32 jobs in the entire universe.
Right, but it's a ranking, G.
Hold on.
We got to have them in order.
I'm just saying. Chances are, if the team is getting fired, right? If the coach got fired before you, what does that mean? That chances are you weren't a good team and don't have a quarterback. So when people be saying, this quarterback situation, all of these teams have no guaranteed quarterback.
Joe Burrow?
No,
I'm just saying, but he just told me that he didn't get fired.
Well, but if he's on the list,
so
besides the bank.
So all I'm saying is, generally speaking, when you take over a team, you don't have a good quarterback. So that's a thing. Generally speaking, they're not going to be a great team. So no one is a great landing point. But the thing is, these jobs are lucrative. And if you're a coach, these are alpha males who believe they're the smartest people in the room. That's established.
Yes.
When you look at these rosters, you don't think that people look at certain pieces and parts and say, I can't get more out of him? I think that this guy is good. My evaluation of him is different.
But I think the elephant in the room is both what you guys said.
Yeah.
It's the cap handcuffs, but more than that, it's the owner. The owner is meddlesome. He has made mind-boggling mistakes that he has admitted to. Like the Deshaun Watson thing, he's copped to that. I don't know why, because they are alpha males, I don't know why they'd want to turn themselves into a beta male to a billionaire.
Maybe.
Okay, you call the shots.
Everybody thinks that they're different. When we take,
I guess, but if there are other jobs to choose from.
But there's two different arguments going on here. You're arguing why anyone would take the Browns job. Yeah, it's 1 in 32, and you're going to set your family up for generational money.
But if you had an option.
But we're talking about these
ranking
8 jobs in particular.
Well, we can get to that.
If this one coach got offered the head coaching job of those 8 teams, in which order would most coaches choose?
So here's what I'll say. We take a look at the Bengals, right? You do have Joe Burrow, and that's an attractive job.
Yeah.
But I mean, you say all the time, you go back and forth between who's the worst owner, Jimmy Haslam.
I hate Mike Brown.
Okay.
But the only thing I would say,
he's cheap. He doesn't meddle.
He doesn't meddle.
Hey, some people will take meddle. If you say, you want Dan Gilbert or you want the Dolans?
The Bengals is a pointless argument because there's no coach that would choose the Browns over the Bengals because of Burrow.
Chase. I mean, we haven't even mentioned.
So they got a great
offense. You don't just have an elite quarterback. You have an elite combo.
So forget the Bengals. For the rest of them.
So the rest of them, you take a look at the rest of those people, the things on the list. You take a look at it and you say, okay, who was second? Arizona.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I vehemently disagree with, by the way.
That's mind-numbing.
Yeah,
I really like. I think Bill Barnwell, for the most part, usually is spot on.
I like Bill too. He's usually smart. But what did Bill say? Why the Cardinals?
Would you like the little synopsis?
Yes, I would like to hear it.
Yeah.
Once again, he wrote 1,000 words on each. I'm reading one paragraph out of it.
Go.
Quote, I'd still argue there's a fair amount to like in Arizona. The Cardinals do have plenty of promising talent on defense, where Josh Sweat has been excellent, and young players like Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, and Garrett Williams have had moments where they've looked like potential standouts. Trey McBride's been spectacular, and though Marvin Harrison and Paris Johnson haven't necessarily lived up to their draft position, they should settle in as above-average starters at key positions. GM Monty Ossenford has done a good job adding draft capital, and though there's work to be done on the interior of the line and at linebacker, there's unquestionably young talent.
You're still
comment on their
quarterback and a
defense
contract
because I don't know enough about their defense.
But you also have to take into account, like the Browns do have 2 number 1 picks, so that's going to be appealing. They're going to have a high pick.
He talked about draft capital. It's 1 extra late first-round pick. What other draft? They have a bunch of 5th-round picks.
No, I mean
that's
valuable.
But very valuable.
If you turn that into a player like Judkins or
I know
the extra one helps. The high one really helps. I think that's why Dorsey took this job. Was they had 2 really high ones when he walked in as a GM. Obviously, that's extremely appealing.
What would your guys' order be? Obviously, we all agree.
It would not be Arizona second.
Run them jewels again. I need to see it.
Let's do 2 through 8. What we would do.
Let's see.
Steve, you take this full whenever you get a chance. But
now remember, there's some other bad owners. The owner of the Dolphins is bad. The owner of the Raiders is bad.
I think the Giants' job is a better job.
Who's the second best job? I don't know that there's a clear answer to who's the second best job.
I like the Giants. I do,
like the
because
Giants,
I like Jackson Dart. Now, the point that I think it was Jay or one of you guys made, the big question with him is he going to Grady Sizemore himself? Is he going to run himself right into early retirement? He might.
What's the second board? Can we see the second board again?
I think the Giants were 5, weren't they?
Giants 5.
I like them.
So to me, the Browns, Dolphins, and Raiders are 6, 7, 8. Whatever order you want to put it to me.
You tripping
I'll give you that too.
You tripping on that. You know how you tripping?
Right.
Here's why you tripping.
Right.
If I'm a new coach, right, everybody knows that if you are a new head coach, you get to draft a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at this position, I say, all right, well, Jimmy Haslam, he meddled a little bit, but he's going to spend some money. Let me take a look at the draft assets. Okay, well, cool. They got 2 first-round picks. They got a plethora of them other picks, right? And they got Deshaun Watson. They're going to keep him on the roster. That's cool. He coming off the books after that. I got that cap space coming off after next year.
No, there's still a lot of cap.
No, it doesn't.
But listen, what I'm saying is,
stuck with, was it 3 years?
What I'm saying is, at 27, what is the cap hit?
Depends on how
Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
It depends on how they structure it, if they restructure it again, if they cut them, if they keep them.
But what's the argument?
My argument is this. Okay, well, look, if you want to play Shedeur Sanders, what if the owner is a meddler and says, you're going to play Shedeur in 26? If he just says that. Okay, play him. if you don't play well, guess what? They're definitely drafting
I'm telling you right
quarterback
now,
at 27.
there are coaches who will want nothing to do with Shador.
Hey,
nothing.
Hey,
That
that's
will
fine.
eliminate the Browns right away.
Well, here's the thing. That's fine. What I'm talking about is the situation of why it's a asset, because if there's coaches that say I don't want nothing to do with Shador Sanders, well, in that case, like, you might not want to be no coach then. Go be an offensive coordinator. It's only one of so many jobs. So what I'm doing?
Would your order be?
So what I'm doing is I say, okay, if you want to play him and he don't turn out to be good, I could go get Arch Manning or one of the best quarterbacks in the draft.
Be in position to do that.
Oh, listen. Here's what I'm saying. But I can still
put us through another 15 losses.
Hey, listen. I'm just extrapolating.
All right, who would you have second? If
the Browns at 6, 7, and 8 is wild. They at least in the mid tier just because of who they got on their roster.
Who's number 2 for you? I'm going with Giants.
I would take the Giants because the Giants have a bad record this year. That's a high pick.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart, I may like him a little bit too. And I'm like, okay, I got Jackson Dart. Scatterboo got hurt a little bit. I do like their pieces on the defensive line. They got some different things that they can work with. And it's a big market. It's a major market. It's the Giants.
And they got the number 1 pick right now.
Yeah, that's why I like the Giants. The big market, the pick, Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
I ultimately think of the other 7 teams, besides the Bengals, the best. If I had to choose a quarterback from those 7 rosters going forward, I would take Cam Ward. Even with as bad as it's been this year, I would take Cam Ward.
I would too.
Over any of the other quarterbacks on those teams.
Over Jackson Dart.
I would.
But Tennessee,
I'd take Cam Ward too.
Tennessee ownership. I don't know. Like,
Tennessee
feels like not much higher up.
Tennessee ownership decided Mike Vrabel wasn't the answer.
Honestly, you could argue.
That's all you need to know about Tennessee.
Honestly, you could argue that all 7 of those other teams, it could be in any order. I really think you could.
And you know what's also, if you call that list up again, one thing that jumps out is, and this is why they're bad teams, one of the things that immediately jumps out is ownership, with the exception of the Giants. The Giants, up until the last decade, have been known as a pillar of great ownership.
Yeah. I mean, they fire a lot of people too.
Arthur Blank, no, they do.
They fire a lot of people.
Listen, the last decade, the Giants have looked like the Jets.
I actually think Arthur Blank's a good owner.
He is, but Arthur's a guy that is down on the sidelines. That's what I'm going to say about Arthur.
Okay.
I just don't like that. I don't like that look. I think he's far too involved. He came out and made all these comments about why they drafted Penix after they signed. I thought that, to me, when they did that,
was kind of crazy.
I just said, wait a minute, you just spent how much money on Kirk Cousins, and then you draft a quarterback at number 8 or wherever they took him?
I can be talked into moving the Browns ahead of the Falcons.
And by the way, let's just keep it a buck, man. We talk about Cam Ward. I like Cam Ward. He ain't put up numbers. He ain't look like
We're not judging by numbers.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Michael Penix don't even be looking. You tell me Michael Penix is that much crazier than Shador Sanders? No. You see, is Cam Ward that much crazier than Shador Sanders? No. Like, people just elevate.
You would take Shador
the
Sanders
difference with both
Cam
those
Ward?
guys is they were first-round picks.
Michael, listen. I'll take Shador over Michael Penix any day.
No, but Cam Ward.
Twice on Sunday.
But Cam Ward.
I think it's comparable. I think Cam Ward has a little bit better arm talent.
So
but
who do you think is going to be better in the NFL if you had to bet right now?
It all depends. I mean, it's right now. If I'm making an argument of a guy that got taken in the first round, number 1 overall, and I can make the argument of a guy that's in the 5th round, what you think? Like, that's, if it's even comparable, that's wild, right?
All right.
It is, but he was also going into the draft widely looked at as the second pick.
I'm just saying.
And then he just
You had it
plummeted
right
like
the
a
first time.
stone.
The Browns are one of the 3 worst jobs.
Nah.
I would agree with
Between
that,
the
too.
cap, the owner,
but
the quarterback
Mike,
situation.
what do you say about that?
Nah, but look at the rest of the talent.
Yeah, like whatever. First of all, I think we don't have to rate them 1 through 8. But are the 3 of us right on saying that the Browns is a 6, 7, or 8 job? Stop.
I have them at 5.
Okay.
I think you could argue over the Falcons.
You could put them in at 5.
You could put 5.
But
I'm definitely not going higher.
Miles Garrett.
I'm not putting them ahead of the
got
Giants,
a lot of young
the Titans.
talent.
Atlanta's ahead of
To
Cleveland.
me,
The Titans.
If you're an NFL head coach and you have your choice between Arthur Blank in
you're going to
Atlanta,
Atlanta.
or Cleveland and
Yeah,
Jimmy
no
Haslam,
question. No
every
question.
one of them will take Atlanta.
The Titans?
Yeah, no question.
The Titans ain't got nobody else.
The Titans' ownership, though, is
Titans
horrendous.
have unlimited cap space this summer.
Right.
Another top pick. You could change that roster around if you think Cam Ward's good. You could turn that roster around.
I like Cam more than I like the organization.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So
I would agree with
the
that.
organization.
I just think,
Cam would bring him up.
but to me, the bad ownership, That's who you're dealing with every day. Who is your boss? How's your mood at work? Well, who's your boss?
They fired Mike
What's your
Vrabel.
relationship with your boss?
They fired Mike Vrabel.
They didn't fire Mike Vrabel. They ran Mike Vrabel out of town.
So this is the pillar of this is
I
it.
just said the organization brings them down. I like the quarterback more than I like the organization.
I'm cooking right now.
There have been other good coaches. Just because you, first of all, and let's be fair about it, Vrabel fell on his face a couple times in the playoffs.
He did.
Let's
be fair about it.
Yeah.
Do you want Mike Vrabel as your coach or what you've had since?
Well, Vrabel every
course
time.
I have Vrabel,
there was very
but-
much like a power struggle going on in Tennessee between Vrabel
Yes,
and ownership.
the owner came in and told him you're going to take on a co-head coach.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
And Mike was never happy. But Mike was like, wait, what?
So
Why?
watch this. So the Falcons, right?
Yeah.
We spent a whole offseason talking about why they gave Kirk Cousins that money and then drafted a quarterback.
Yeah, that was silly to me. That
What
made
are we
no
doing?
sense.
So, the reason
I can name 50 things they've done under Jimmy Haslam that are ludicrous.
I'm just saying.
well, you're naming one thing.
I'm just giving you you want me to give it to you?
You want me to give you the list of all the idiotic things the
Hey,
Browns have
listen.
done?
I'm just saying. If for all these model organizations,
If you could have either Arthur Blank or Jimmy Haslam on the Browns, who would you take?
I mean, I would probably take Arthur Blank.
Okay,
but
so
let's not act like Arthur Blank did not. Who drafts at 8? You just guaranteed that man how many millions?
Gee, I can't. But again,
You're talking about one mistake.
That's a huge mistake.
Look at the Johnny Manziel and
we got
Deshaun
a million
Watson and all the things that have Haslam's fingerprints all over.
All I'm trying to do is get him to 4. I ain't got to have him at 6, 7, 8. I'm just saying this now. I'm just
Can
trying to get him
I
to 4.
pivot because there was one other part of this conversation that we haven't touched on yet, and I want to get the answers on all of this.
I do not even believe the report, honestly.
I don't either. That's a separate issue.
No way in a million years would I want Bill Belichick to be.
That's what I wanted to get
He's
to.
He's a complete clown now.
Let's just assume that Josina's report is correct, and there is someone in the Browns organization
she's
that
talked
really
about the
likes
Browns,
him.
I find it impossible to believe somebody from the Browns is talking.
She has discredited herself recently in a way that her colleagues in the business, some of the things they have said to me about her are mind-blowing. Her credibility right now is not at.
Now she definitely talks to players. We know that
she does have,
but
insight.
I don't buy that she's talking to somebody in the front office.
But even if let's say this report is true.
Okay.
First of all, can you imagine an executive saying that to a reporter? I really like Bill Belichick, but there is a 0.0% chance that Bill Belichick comes to Cleveland.
I mean,
and I know he wants the record.
I would not.
Big thing.
I would not say 0.0 only because
0.001 because it's the Browns.
You're dealing with lunatics on both sides.
You're right. Yeah. It's the Browns.
So you can never rule anything. Can you imagine? Like, as if this organization hasn't done enough to itself.
We need that on our drama bingo
Hey,
card.
bring Jordan Hudson onto the field pregame.
Let's go.
Put her in brown and orange and let her strut all over the field.
Can you imagine?
While Shador and his brother are Instagramming on one end and Jordan Hudson's on the other Instagramming. Like, yeah, sure. Why not?
Hey, guys.
Come on.
Guys, what y'all got to understand is, I don't understand. Like, these owners are going to do whatever they want.
Yes.
That's how they going to move. Like, this is just what it is. Maybe it's just me, but rich dudes who's like 70 literally be doing a bunch of stuff that they want.
What have we said
they don't care.
Jimmy gets what Jimmy wants.
They have no
I've said
rules.
that since we started the show. If Jimmy wants it, Jimmy
the reason I
the
have
dome,
the number so
Deshaun.
low, I just don't think Bill would do it. Bill knows.
If it's his only chance,
I don't think it would be his only chance.
Nobody wanted him last year.
I don't.
Bill is in North Carolina for a reason.
Bill wants the record.
Yes.
Everybody that's close to Bill has said Bill talks about that. That is important to Bill. So if you assume that that's true, and I do, I assume that he wants to coach in the NFL again.
Of course.
Let's face it. Things did not go well in North Carolina.
Who's going to hire, outside of maybe the lunatics up the street?
I don't know, but you know what?
Who would hire him?
P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute.
McNuggets.
I'm not sure
Maybe
that
the Titans will hire him.
Arizona, Tennessee.
These conversations be funny. That's like you sitting around with your buddies and you talking about how bad supermodels is. Listen, if supermodel pull up on you, you taking the supermodel. I don't care if she got a bad attitude. She only take a shower 2 times in a week. She's still a supermodel.
Right.
What I'm talking about is
still Bill Belichick.
No, I'm saying Bill Belichick would 1,000% take the Browns job
Of course
because
he
it's
would.
a Browns job.
It's a job in the NFL.
It's a job in the NFL. We're taking that. So would I want Bill Belichick? No. We're past that, fellas.
Yeah.
He's at North Carolina for
I don't
a
want John
reason.
Gruden either.
No.
I'm done
We're
with
No, that's
like-
the other name that keeps coming up.
We got to find. I keep trying to tell you. It doesn't. You better
Hasn't
find
wants to splash.
You have to find. You gotta put your own work in Alonzo from training day. Hey, would you smoke this food for me? Nah, bro. You gotta put your own work in here. The Browns gotta find their own quarterback, their own receivers, their own head coach, and their own GM. You can't keep coming around with retreads trying to find a quick way to get it done. You're gonna have to give some money, an opportunity to a new coach, and just pray it's the right one. That's the only way it's gonna work.
You know, one of the things that the NFL, we always talk about the code in the NFL, and when I was working in Tampa, I got a call on a Saturday night from the nicest restaurant in town. The maitre d' called me. He had my cell number. He called me. He's like, Jay, Bill Parcells is having dinner right now with the Glazers. And I'm like, what? He said, listen, man, I'm confirming it. You've known me for how long? Mm-hmm. And so we did some digging, and we made some calls, and nobody would deny it. So we went with the report. And it became such a big deal that the next day, on all the Sunday pregame shows, but Tony Dungy was still coaching the Buccaneers. The next day, Bill Parcells releases a statement that says, I am not interested in the Buccaneers coaching job. I was later told that whole story getting out most likely kept him from becoming the Buccaneers' next head coach.
Wow.
It's my fault.
It's your fault?
It's the maitre d's fault.
That's true.
We were just doing our job.
Yeah.
But it was later confirmed that he was indeed in town, and he did indeed have dinner with the Glazers, and they were talking about the job. Now, the code in the NFL is you never talk about another man's job. But it's also, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, rarely will you hear someone within an organization mention another coach's name when that job is still occupied. And that's what we have with this report. Kevin Stefanski is still the head coach of the Browns. I cannot imagine that there is an executive in this organization that is dumb enough to tell a reporter, hey, we still like Bill Belichick. We like Bill a lot. I can't imagine that could happen.
There are some dumb people in the
that's why it's the Browns, so you never know.
There are executives that participated. Hey, bro, I need you to text this man down there, and you need to put Johnny Manziel in. If that happened, all bets are off.
But I'm trying to tread very carefully.
It's the Browns.
No, but like how do these? It first of all, a lot of this depends on the reporter, and the reporter's how much risk a reporter is willing to take, if that makes sense. Because you may have a one-on-one conversation with somebody in the Browns, and a lot of times, like a lot of the conversations we have are very informal. Like it's just like we're talking now.
Is there a gray area? Because I was confused by this. Is there always an on the record, off the record? There a lot of times there isn't.
It's always off.
It's
always off the record.
Unless you're told.
Okay, so there's on the record, off the record background. Right? So,
yes.
So like there's levels to this. and there are, I mean, I'll have conversations with people who will say something to me like, listen, you can't repeat this under any circumstance.
That's completely off the record.
You can't use this.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you so you know.
For background. Yeah.
And then there's other things. Most of what we get is, yeah, you can use this, but don't ever put my name on it.
Sure.
That's the majority of it. But then, that's why I said it depends on who the reporter is, because I have conversations with people all the time who say, I talked to such and such at this organization, and they told me this.
Right.
So these guys talk all the time. So you could talk to somebody from, the Jaguars, who talked to somebody in Cleveland. You could be on the phone with somebody from the Jaguars who says, well, I just talked to such and such with Cleveland, and they really like X. Because there's constantly conversations going on about this.
So you think
stuff.
It could have been like secondary
It could have been secondhand. Yeah. And then it comes down to the reporter. Like, I was just having this conversation with Mike. I can't use that. Like, our standards are so high now.
As they should be.
With what you can and can't use. Yeah. If we get secondhand information, we can't go with it.
Unless you verify it through another source.
Yeah. Through a more direct one-to-one source.
And Jay, I know it's strict, but I like that.
I've had information secondhand that I know it's 100% accurate. I know it.
Right.
But because I can't get the one-to-one, I haven't been able to use it.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. But
that is tough.
This is why I would never sign up willfully be a journalist. Like it's too taxing. It's frustrating. You got to jump through hoops. I got to get it. It's almost like, dang, bro, I got to be a defense attorney at the same time.
And by the way, these people are human and they change their mind.
Right. Now, right.
Yeah.
So you
And
can
then that's
report
on you.
and then we look like because okay, take Shador for example. So Jimmy came out and told you Friday night when we left the building Friday night, we were not taking Shador. Now imagine a reporter having a conversation with Jimmy Friday night, and Jimmy tells them we're not taking Shador.
Got you.
And so you write.
Got you.
Browns are not taking Shador. Saturday morning, somebody wakes up, changes their mind,
And then
you're the one that looks like you don't know what you're talking about.
You're not going to call you and say, hey, we changed our mind.
Because these guys are human, and sometimes they change their mind.
And then you got a moonwalk,
and then
and
things
you like,
change. And that's why sometimes, and this will come out. Give me 5-6 months, and we'll revisit this conversation because things happen with teams and sports, and you hear about them 3 months in advance. And Mike knows this because I had a phone call when we were in Maine on the beach, when Leslie and I were in Maine, and I got a phone call and said, I am not dealing with this poop right now. Like, it is too early to be doing this stuff. So then you just sit and you wait and see how things play out. And unfortunately, it's playing out exactly like the phone call I got in Maine said it would. So now just sit tight and wait.
Wait for it to happen.
And if Nostra Jason Amos is right, we're going to have a very interesting summer.
That's a crazy tease too. Yeah. That's a 6-month tease. Usually you teasing like to the next segment.
Next week.
Like next week, that's a 6-month tease.
Coming
fam.
up in June.
Yeah.